everyone. As we are popping in here today, we are going to be talking about presenting, the presentation stage of your sales conversation, why you're doing that, when to do that, all of the above, right? So drop below what you sell. We have real estate in the house, solar in the house, SaaS in the house. Great industries for sure. What else do you guys sell? What do you do? Let's make this relevant to you all. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. What else do we have? Insurance. Okay. Radio advertising. Dear God, words are beautiful. Okay, so perfect. So lots of different types of sales. Now, what is really important to understand in sales, right? And then the dreadful presentation, the dreadful pitch, as what it used to be called in old school days. Right? How do we get past that and make it actually feel like it is the prospect's idea? How do we make sure that when we are presenting our product and service, the person doesn't glaze over? Have you ever had that happen before? We have fitness in the house, Kagan Waters in the house. Do you need red hair? No, Mike, you do not need red hair. You can learn sales skills regardless of what hair color you have. It helps though. Red hair definitely helps. That's good. So let's go back into what the presentation is and what happened a long time ago versus now, just so we have a little bit of clarity here. So you have a little bit more context, and then we'll kind of dive deep into this. So a long time ago, before social media, before the internet, sales reps would go around with their products, right, and their services, and the biggest job a sales rep was to do was to inform the consumer, inform the customer, inform the consumer, right? They were supposed to just give you all this detail, all this information, because you couldn't look it up back then. That is what the sales rep job was. And so you would have these really long presentations because they would have to really explain everything, explain the company, because they really didn't know who it was, give them a lot of information. However, as time has progressed, what we have found is that one of the least persuasive things that you can do is giving a long-winded presentation. Giving a 30 to 45-minute presentation, depending on your industry, right? And you're talking about, this is our leadership, and this is the building that they bought 20 years ago. And, this is, our team. They are really great culture. All that stuff has literally nothing to do with the sale in the first place, and this person completely glazes over. So what we need to understand is that your presentation is going to be the most persuasive if it is less than, I believe, 10% of the whole entire sales conversation. Less than 10%. And most salespeople, they are presenting 50% or more of the whole entire call, which is absolutely incredible. Amazing. So let's go. Phil has a remodeling company, 15 sales reps. Appreciate you, man. So he's not selling remodeling. He's selling what that does for the prospect, right? Giving them a new home, giving them a new experience. So we really want to make sure that our prospects, they feel like we've been listening to the whole entire time during this conversation, that we really understand where they're at right now and where they want to be. And the only way for them to get to where they want to be is to buy your product or service, right? And I don't want them to feel like I go into this whole pitch robotic mode, because then I lose them. I don't want that to happen. So how do I make this person feel like my presentation is almost custom to them and feel like I understand them and their situation more than anybody else? I also want it to feel like I'm not pressuring them into doing something. I don't want that. I want it to be like, hey, yeah, we're on the same team. I've been listening to you this whole entire time. You've mentioned these pain points. This is how my solution specifically solves your specific problems, you personally, which means that my presentation is going to be custom for each person. Right? It's going to change depending on who I'm talking to, because people's problems are going to be different depending on who I'm talking to. Now, if you've understand a little bit of our methodology here, guys, what this is going to happen here is we've established, right, a lot of things that have happened to this point of the call. Okay. So first of all, we've taken them through a phase of questions to get them to where they are right now, to where they want to be, right? Which is buy-in from you. And what we've done here, and you have to go through some of my other trainings and stuff as well, is take them through this, right? So we've asked them about their current situation. We know what's going on. We've asked them about the problems that they have, the pain, like how that problem is affecting them in their life, what's going on. And if you know a little bit about the brain, what happens when I talk about pain is it releases cortisol in their body. They go into fight or flight mode. And I purposely take them through these questions where I understand what they've done in the past to try to solve their problems. I take them to what their future will look like once their problems are solved. It releases oxytocin in their brain. They imagine what their life or their business will look like once their problems are solved, regardless of your industry. Regardless if you sell B2B or B2C or door-to-door or B2G, these are all humans, and all humans make decisions based off of emotion, right? If the emotional part of your brain where you make decisions was damaged, you wouldn't even be able to make the decision to decide to go to the bathroom. You wouldn't be able to decide what shoe you wanted to put on, because we all make decisions based on emotion. So I'm really taking them through this emotional state on purpose. And I spend all my time here, right? I ask them about what's going to happen if they don't make a change. And then I transition into my presentation or into the next part of my sales process, depending on what I'm selling. If I'm in a one-call close, I would be transitioning into presenting my product or service for this person to buy. If I was in a more complex sales process and I was in more like a B2B environment or a two-call close, some people have a more complicated sales process in B2C, then I would be transitioning into a secondary call. How do I transition into a secondary call? Maybe I would say something like, and I love how you have a long shirt on, Claire. You need to put on pants. I'm on live with a lot of people, and it looks like you're not wearing pants.
Sorry.
So when you make sure when you don't walk past this way again, you have to walk back here and you have to go this way. I have pants in my room.
Wait,
Or you can do that. That's fine. All right. So we want to make sure that we are communicating what happens next. The worst thing that ever happens is that you're on a sales conversation with somebody and they just are kind of like going to the next steps without telling you what's happening. It could feel like you're taking advantage. It could feel like you're pressuring. It could feel awkward, right? So we just don't want that. So we want to be really, really clear with what happens, right? Maybe you transition into something like you understand what's going on. You've went over what's going to happen if they don't do anything, and we decide to go into presenting our offer, right? So maybe we say something like this, Sally, I really appreciate you explaining that to me. It really seems like it's time to possibly make a change. I can understand why this is so important to you. With your permission, I can go over a few things that we would be able to do for you to support you and help you with your situation and to solve, and you repeat whatever problems that they said that they had, to solve this problem that you had mentioned. Like, would that help you? Right? Yeah, go look at this question too. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Like, would that help you? They say yes, and then we go into the presentation. Maybe I'm going into a second two-call close, and I would say something like this, like, okay, perfect. That, Sean, that gives me a little bit of an understanding of your situation. Like, it helps me understand that a little bit better, and like the challenges that you guys are going through compared to what you're really wanting as far as making sure that your employees have the insurance that they're really needing. Really the next step would be, if it's appropriate, as we would go back and we would put a proposal together for you and your team with a few different options to see what we can do to help you, solve all those problems and make sure that your employees have insurance so that they can have that longevity in the company that you were looking for. Like, would that help you if we did that? And they say yes. Or maybe your next step is not to do a proposal, but maybe your next step is to do a demonstration, right? So, okay, that gives me a little bit better understanding of your situation and, what you guys are going through as far as X and Y and Z compared to what you're wanting to be as far as this, this, and this. Again, the reason why I'm saying X, Y, and Z, and this, and this, and this, is not because I'm trying to be bland and boring and generic. I want to be very specific, and I want to use the words that these people have used in the sales conversation. So it's really important that I'm always listening. Let's say earlier in the call, somebody was telling me that, one of the problems that their company was experiencing was that their employees had high turnover. I would say at the end, because you're having your employees have high turnover, I wouldn't say because your employees are leaving, even though it's the same thing. Does that make sense? I would use the same verbiage that they are using. So when I say like X, Y, and Z, I'm just plugging in whatever the prospect has communicated to me earlier in the call. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. Okay, so that gives me a little bit of a better understanding of your situation, Sean, and the challenges that you guys are going through as far as X and Y and Z compared to what you're wanting to be as far as this, this, and this. The next step would be for us to book another call so that we can go over a demonstration over XYZ platform and how we solve those same problems for our clients to really get you to make sure that your employees stay and they don't have turnover anymore, so that you can really scale and grow your business this year, right? You would plug in the end result of what they were wanting, right? Would that help you? They say yes, perfect. And now we book the call. Okay. If you're in a more complex selling environment, when you book the call, you want to ask a question about the next steps, right? So Sean, when you have your CFO on the call with us next week, I don't know, I just threw in a random person. Let's say you have this person on the call with us this next week, and we go over the demonstration and we really show you how we can make sure that your employees don't have that turnover. We can show you how to really scale and grow and everything looks good. What would be our next steps at that point? Just so I can understand. If they're like, hey, we would move forward, great. You're on the same page. If they're like, oh, well, we would need to look at a couple more vendors, now it's like, okay, there's a concern that this person has, and I need to figure out what's going on, figure out what objection they have and handle it, and then move forward, right? Does that make sense? Now, I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on going into the presentation. So let's say at the next point, we're finally into the presentation, regardless if you're B2B, regardless if you're in B2C. How do I make it feel like it is custom to the person that I'm talking to? Okay. Now, remember, we want to use the same verbiage that this person has used earlier in the call. Yes, we want to use the same verbiage. So just for simplicity reasons, let's come up with a random industry. Let's give a few problems this person might have, okay? And then, it would be really horrible, probably not a good idea for you to be doing this to your own industry at the same time. Just a suggestion, throwing it out there, right? Okay. So let's say we get to another call. Now, when you get to another call, you don't want to start another call by going straight into the demonstration. Why would you not want to do that? Because there's so many other things that have happened during the week before, since your last call to right now. So if I get on the call and it is a secondary call, I do want to reiterate everything that has happened so far so they can relive the pain so we can talk about how to solve it. Because the brain is wired for survival. So let's say I have a B2B call. We've had a first call today. We have a second call next week where we're going over a demonstration. On that call, I want to go through all of the steps again because I want their brain to relive the pain and see if there's anything else that has come up, and then we talk about how to solve it. If I go straight into the demonstration and we don't go over that, they're not going to really feel that gap being solved. They're not going to feel a sense of urgency to change today. So we have to get them to re-say all that stuff, not by telling them, but by asking questions, right? Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So let's say that we have a person, and just for a really basic, let's say that we're selling something easy. Let's just, for example's sake, let's say we're selling high ticket, right? Now this would work for anything. It would work for B2B, B2C, door-to-door, solar, work for anything, but it's just really easy to kind of understand this. Let's use fitness industry, just for an example, right? And again, you can use this for any industry. So let's say my ideal client had 3 problems, okay? Typically, your prospect has 2 to 3 problems. Most of them don't really understand what those problems are. It's your job to find those problems and get them to relive that pain. So let's say that my person I have Sally here. She is my prospect, okay? And Sally, she has 3 problems. Problem 1 is that she wants to lose 30 pounds, okay? Problem 2 is that she feels uncomfortable being a little bit overweight in her verbiage right now, and she's saying that it's affecting her relationship with her husband because she feels uncomfortable with him, right? Like she doesn't want him to touch her, like all this stuff. It's just she feels uncomfortable, and like it's causing some friction in the relationship. She knows that. And for lastly, she is having a issue with the 30 pounds is making her feel insecure. Okay. She's having issues with her husband. And lastly, she's having issues at work because she feels so tired. Okay. So now her job is on the line. And throughout this conversation, I have talked to her about the pain and how it's affecting her. So the pain was losing 30 pounds. She feels really insecure. She feels depressed. Those were her words that she's used. She doesn't know what to do. She said it's affecting her relationship with her husband. She's like, oh no, like I don't know what's going to happen. I don't feel like this is sustainable. I'm always like fighting with him and I don't want him to get anywhere near me. And she feels like maybe like her husband's going to leave or something's going to happen. Like that's what's affecting her. Like maybe he's going to leave or he's going to cheat on her or something. Cause she just like can't imagine like having like, you know, intimacy with him right now. Like these are real conversations with real people, right? And then the third thing is that, you know, her work is on the line right now because she gets so tired and it's really hard for her to like pay attention to meetings. She feels so lethargic during the day. Like she just needs to do something. And I asked her, I'm like, well, what do you feel like is going to happen if you don't do anything about this, Sally? And you keep feeling like this for another like 3, 6, maybe 9 months, the situation gets even worse. And she's like, well, maybe my husband's going to leave or maybe I'm going to lose my job. Like something is going to happen. But again, all people have pain points, all people have problems, and those problems are affecting them in different ways. So with your prospect, what you can do right now is write their name at the top, your prospect, write down 3 problems that they maybe said that they had in your conversation, regardless if it's a SaaS company, regardless if it's, you know, a door-to-door company, B2B, B2C, right? It's just a person with problems and how it's affecting them or how it's affecting their company. Super simple. Again, for this example, that's why we're doing this, okay? So how do I make them feel like my solution is going to help solve their problem specifically? Okay. I'm going to pick their biggest problem first. So out of all 3 of these, the losing weight's making her feel insecure, her husband might leave her, and the work, she might get fired, to a woman. Which one of these is going to be the biggest problem for her? Okay. For a woman, typically, it's going to be around her relationship, yeah? Now, if I was talking to a guy, guys, typically, it's going to be more about his purpose, okay? So typically, work is where it would go. A woman, it's going to be about her relationship, yeah? Okay, like a guy has to be on purpose and has to do what he's doing. If he feels like his woman's taking him off of his purpose, he's going to pick purpose. That's why you have to have a woman that's really supportive of a man's purpose, of a man's goals, what he's wanting to do. That's a completely different story, right? So how do I make her feel like I can help her? Okay, so the way I'm going to start off my presentation, right, is going to be custom. I'm going to wait. I don't even pull up a diagram yet. I just communicate to her that I understand her more than anybody else. What I'm going to say is like, hey, you know, Sally, remember how you were saying that, you know, you're really having issues right now with your husband and you were really feeling like you didn't want him to look at you. You didn't want to have intimacy. And it's really causing you to feel, I think you mentioned like fearful of like what's going to happen and that he could possibly leave or something horrific happens. One of the biggest problems that people have when they come to us is because they have the exact same thing that you were saying. That sometimes they feel uncomfortable with their body and that they're having issues with their relationship. And it's causing them to feel really worried about their future with their relationship because of this. So again, what am I doing here? I'm saying, remember how you were having this problem. So remember problem 2. Again, right? Because we picked 3 problems. So again, with your industry, you can literally pick this, anyone that's having this. Remember problem number 2 that we were talking about, right? And that when you have this problem, it's causing this type of consequence. And because of this, it's making you feel a certain way. Remember this, right? One of the biggest reasons why people come to us is because they say the exact same thing that you did. They say that they also have problem number 2 and that it's causing this problems, and they also feel like that. Okay? Really simple. One of the biggest reasons people have when they come to us is the exact same thing you said. They also have your problem. I'm using the same verbiage that they had. It's making them feel a certain type of way. It's making them feel consequences if they don't do anything. And what I say is, so the way that we solve that for our clients, just like you, is that and you go over how the specific part of your solution solves their problem number 2. Solves their problem, right? The biggest problem they have. Does that make sense? It's really easy if we break it down. The biggest reason why people come to us is they say the exact same thing. They also have this going on. It's also making them feel like this. It's causing these issues, which really causes them to worry if their person's going to be there or not. And, the way that we solve that for our clients, just like you, is that we give you the support that you're needing and help you with your mindset at the same time that you're learning how to work out, so that you really can overcome all those challenges, the insecurities that you're feeling, so that you can heal and work on your relationship at the same time. And what that means to you is that now you don't have to worry about your relationship because it's the front of mind, and now you're working on it together to really start to heal this process. Again, I'm just making up a random industry, making up how this would work, right? So what you're going to do is do that for the other 2 problems. Yes? And you know how you were mentioning that this was going on and it was causing this? Our clients have the same thing as well. They have this and this. And the way that we solve that for our clients just like you is that we do this. And then the third problem, sometimes they don't have a third problem. Third problem, you can also mention, how, I know you didn't mention this, but a lot of our clients have the same issues as well. They have issues with this. And what we do is we help them with this. It's the same way. So you're really, really communicating your specific problems. We help them solve that personally. And you do this in any type of industry, right? Now, after I've communicated this, if I need to show visuals, I show visuals. But again, I want this to be like 5% of my whole entire sales conversation. Okay. I know it's less than 10. I think it's supposed to be around 5% of the whole, there's a 10. The whole entire sales conversation, right? And so I show them, what we do. And then I talk to them about pricing. Okay. So I show them anything else that they're going to need, right? So maybe I have a couple of different options, right? Maybe like for me, for our programs, like we have 4 different types of programs, right? Well, technically 5 because we have a different one for B2B. But typically, right, I get to the end, I tell them how we help them, and then I show them the different options of what they can pick from, and I recommend something of what I think would help them the most, and then I tell them the funding that they would need to put together, right? So let's say I was going to ask them about the funding. Let me see, hold on. I would say it's something like this. Okay, I would say, once I explained everything, I would say, okay, now the funding that you would need to put together for this in order for, okay, let me re-say that one more time. Now, Sally, the funding that you would need to put together for this is that you're going to need X amount of dollars so that you can, lose that 30 pounds and really start feeling confident and work on that relationship with your husband and have that more energy for work so that you can, not have to worry about this anymore. Do you have any questions on how that works? That's how I ask. Do you have any questions on how that works? Right? And from there, they can ask any questions that they have. Right? Now, if I have them picking a few different ones, I would say now out of these, which one do you feel like is going to support you the most? Like out of these options, and then I'm like, do you have any questions on how that works? Okay. But essentially, I'm just making them feel like I understand their situation more than anybody else, right? If anyone has any questions in here, I could pop that in here. But it needs to feel custom. It needs to feel like super simple. Let's just take another industry, just for example. So like, let's say for this example, I'm doing, let's see. I want to do like a B2B one. So it's a little bit easier. Okay. So let's say I was like doing like a staffing agency. So, remember how you were saying that you were having some hard time finding like really high quality candidates, which is causing you to spend like 2 to 3 hours a day looking through Indeed, just trying to go through resumes. Again, I pick out their biggest problem. So let's say this person, it's a staffing agency. And their biggest problem was that they're spending hours a day searching for candidates. So when I go into my presentation, so remember how you were mentioning this? You were mentioning that you're having to spend a hard time finding quality candidates, which is causing you to spend, 2 to 3 hours a day on Indeed just going through resumes. Remember how you were mentioning that? One of the biggest problems that companies have when they come to us is the exact same thing that you're going through, like quite literally. I hear this every single day, especially if you're in industry, right? Like this is normal. This is what I deal with every single day, right? Do you see how it works for any type of like a company or for an individual, okay? Is that they don't know how to find the best people and they have to like really search for, and go, let me rephrase that. So they really don't know how to find the best people, people that have both skills, like the personality and the skill set for their industry. And it's causing them to spend hours a day, researching, cold calling and, cold emailing and going through interviews. And they end up going through thousands of unqualified candidates every single week, just like you had mentioned that you do. So the way that we solve that for our clients is that we actually already have a network of people that are already engaged, that are already verified, that are already wanting a job. So now you don't have to go, find all these people. We already have them. And they've already been assessed on your behalf. They have the right skills. We already have the right people. Like quite literally, it's already done for you. Okay? That's an example. So what you do for your industry, again, is you find the problem that you have and how it's causing pain, and you talk about how you and your company can solve that for them specifically. And you do that for all the problems that they have. Typically, they have 2 to 3 problems. And then from there, you say the funding that you would need to put together for this is X, Y, and Z. Do you have any questions on how that works? Now, is that the close? No, there's a second part of that. After they answered any questions, they have any concerns, then I would go into like, do you feel like this is the answer for what you're looking for? And they would tell me yes, and I would ask why, and they would explain why, and they would convince themselves as to why they were wanting it. But does everyone get the point? Like, it's really easy. If I go in through some long-winded presentation and I pull up a 70-page pitch deck and I start going, like they're going to be real confused as to like what is going on. They're not going to understand. They won't get it, all right? So I really want to make sure that this person feels like I get them more than anybody else. So I really hope that that was helpful. Now, if you are a lady, I know my guys, sorry guys. So we work with our guys too, but typically more on like B2B. So like we train larger sales teams, or we like write out scripts for larger sales teams on the B2B side. But on our B2C side, we like to focus on our ladies and really help them grow them. That's just like what we pay attention to, what we pour into. So if you are one of our ladies and you haven't seen our new training portal, I want to show you really fast because it's super cool. Or if you know another woman in sales that you really feel like needs help and support, regardless of like what industry she's in, we just did 20 hours of shooting in Miami. We got it all back, and it's a 16-hour long portal, and it's freaking beautiful. So I'm going to show you guys because it's freaking awesome. Okay, perfect. Let me show you guys. I saw my Christmas tree up. Don't judge me. Okay. Let me show you. I think that I can share my screen. Okay, perfect. So I'll share my screen on here, and then I will show you guys personally. It's gonna be great. Da, da, da. Okay. It's really beautiful. I'm so in love with this thing. You know when you like put all your time and your energy into something and it's like your baby? Like this is like my baby. I spent months on this thing. Present. Share my screen. And I want to share for entire screen. Oh, this one? Maybe it's this one. Ha, share. Yay. Okay, let me show you guys. Okay, so this is our training platform, our training portal, and it's super cool, 16 hours, right? And we did a whole entire section just on mindset and working through some of the stuff that you might be going through. And then we have the psychology of the sales process and what it's for, and every single phase in here to give you the support that you're needing. And every single thing that you go into, it has a video that's in between 11 to 30 minutes. And then it has as well questions and stuff. So like if I view my mission in here, we have all the videos in here, what's about, what's the mission, and then questions that you can ask. Oh, as I'm shaking this thing, that's awesome. And then in addition to that, you have a community and you have a coach that's in here to help you. So like, let's say you have a question, you can ask the coach and then they'll help you, right? You can add files, you can add anything in there. We'll send somebody back. You have somebody that's assigned to you that actually helps you and supports you with whatever you're going through, which is super freaking cool. So that is our training. Woo! I love it so much. I'm so excited. And what's really cool about this is that we're going to be able to help so many more people like do really amazing things. Like I really want to be able to even like donate this to women that have been through like that are like surviving from human trafficking or that were in like really, really bad relationships and stuff and get them out. Like I really believe that sales and having the skill to learn how to make money really can change your life, right? And again, Brian, I don't sell to guys. It's only for women, so this doesn't really do anyways, right? So I'm just really, really excited. And I'm talking about donating it to women. What are you talking about, bro? I'm talking about donating it. It's crazy. So I think it's really important that you understand that your ability to train and to learn and to develop yourself helps you acquire more skills, which allows you to be more valuable to the marketplace. So if you're a lady on here that is watching that hasn't gotten a role play with our team or that just needs some more support, just please DM me. Love to help you, love to really support you for this next year to get the skills that you need to go to that next level. And then my guys on here, you know, if you have a sales team that you need your script written out for, if you just need some more support, just support me and not support me. My goodness, just DM me. We'll see what we can do. Okay, perfect. Hell yeah, Mike, let's roll. All right, guys, I hope that you all have a really incredible day. Please DM us if you need any support. And sometimes, you know, having a woman's perspective as a woman helps you out so much. I remember being a woman in sales and not having anybody that could help me out with crazy things like that happen, like getting hit on or being taken seriously or whatever. So sometimes having that support is going to really help you. So I love you guys. I hope they all have an amazing day and we will see you very soon.